Let us now talk about impact strength. What is impact strength? It is the ability of material to absorb energy during plastic deformation. Means when material undergoes plastic deformation, it will absorb energy and then and only then it undergoes plastic deformation process. It is also called as toughness of material and takes into account both strength and ductility of material. Yes, definitely. Means when we talk about toughness, it includes talking about strength as well as ductility of the material. Impact strengths are generally lower as compared to strength achieved under slowly applied loads. Yes, impact strengths are means material get fail at a lower value of stress if it is in the form of impact, but if it is a slowly applied load, it will not fail early at a lower value of stress. Means impact strengths just need to have a lower value of stress value and it fails the material. Impact strength is the energy required per unit cross sectional area to fracture a specimen. We have a specimen like this, and its SI unit is meganewton per meter square. For most impact tests, notched specimen is used because unnotched do not give us exact stress value. Yes, whenever we need to conduct an impact test, we should have a notched specimen like this because unnotched do not give us exact stress values. Moreover, ductile materials can't be judged by impact testing. Yes, ductile materials can't be judged by impact testing alone. Then we have fracture behavior. What is fracture behavior? Fracture occur because of imposed stress, which is static. What is static? Means it is a stress which does not consider the inertial values, and it considers the temperature of specimen should be low as compared to the melting temperature. Means my applied stress can be tensile as well as compressive as well as shear. Basically static stress means inertia effects can be neglected. Okay, they are not considered. So ductile versus brittle fracture, what is the difference in behavior? This is the blue graph is for brittle fracture and the pink graph is for ductile fracture. The area under the curve for ductile is more and area under the curve for brittle is less, which shows the basically toughness of the material. So a ductile material is more tough and brittle material is less tough. So first of all, crack formation. It depends upon growth in crack because of applied stress. It is dependent upon mechanism of crack propagation, how the crack propagates, right? And also what is the nature of the material, what is the temperature at that point, what is the state of stress, and what is the rate of loading. Okay, so all these values, they will decide the behavior of a fracture for a ductile or a brittle, whatever it is. Means these are the parameters on the basis of which we will be comparing all this. Okay, so crack formation, growth, dependent, nature of material, temperature, state of stress, and rate of loading. All 7 parameters we have to consider. Very important point now I am going to discuss, that is comparison of ductile fracture vis-a-vis brittle fracture. First point, ductile fracture is a slow process, gives warning and can be controlled. Means ductile fracture when takes place, it gives us sufficient time that we can control it. It is not spontaneous process. But brittle fracture spreads rapidly, sudden, without any warning, and it can't be controlled. Like in ships, when they travel to cold areas, they experience brittle fractures. Ductile materials exhibit large strains and yielding before they fail. Means any ductile material before failing will show appreciable strain and yielding. There is excessive plastic deformation in the vicinity of the propagating crack. Near to the crack propagation, if we have this the surface which is to be cracked, there is a sufficient plastic deformation, but in case of brittle fracture there is less plastic deformation. Ductile materials often have relatively small Young's modulus and ultimate stresses. Yes, we have seen in the graph earlier that Young's modulus and ultimate stress for ductile materials is less. Brittle materials have relatively high Young's modulus, and ultimate stresses. Crack is stable and is resistive to extension for an increased stress. Yes, it is stable and is resistive to extension for an increased stress. If I increase the value of stress, it is resistive to that. Crack is not in favor of that. But for other kind, for brittle, crack is unstable and is not resistive to extensions for an increased stress value. Means it propagates if there is increased stress value. Surface obtained at the fracture is dull or fibrous in appearance. It is a dull surface and it is fibrous in nature, looks like a fibrous appearance. But for brittle fracture, surface obtained at the fracture is shining and crystal appearance. Okay. Means like in a fracture of cast iron, we have sharp bright edges like this, as I have drawn here. They are bright edges and they are shiny and they are crystal. Similar behavior we have seen in the, like I think you people know about what are rock candies. When we break a rock candy, or it is called as mishri in Hindi, the fracture obtained is like this only. There are bright, shiny, sharp edges which is formed in the behavior in the fracture of cast iron also. Okay, surface obtained is shining and crystal. There is reduction in cross sectional area of specimen for ductile fracture. Yes, the cross sectional area decreases, but there is no change in area in cross sectional area for a brittle fracture. Ductile materials require more strain energy, so they are tough. Okay, ductile materials, they need to have more strain energy, so that is why they are called as tough. Means metals and alloys, they demonstrate a ductile fracture, whereas glass and ceramics, they exhibit brittle fracture. Okay. Now let us see how fracture development takes place. Let us go into the depth of how ductile fracture development takes place. We have A, B, C, D, E, 5 types of diagrams. This is initial necking. This is a ductile fracture. I am applying forces on the two sides. Neck formation due to tensile load takes place. In the second process, there are small cavities of formation inherent in the material, which are very small in size, but because of this they start growing. Fine cavities nucleate grow in the neck portion. Means in this neck portion, these cavities, they begin to grow and they coalesce to form a cavity. The cavity to form a crack. All these cavities, they combine together and they form a crack. Cavities grow in size and merge into a crack. Basically, it forms a crack now. Okay. Then crack, after this process, crack goes down to the axis of specimen. See, this is the axis of specimen. It has traveled towards the axis of specimen, means it has gone down. It propagates along shear plane at 45 degree to form a cone. Like see here, this makes an angle of 45 degree. This also makes an angle of 45 degree. Okay. So it forms a cup and cone arrangement. This is like 45 degree angle I have told you. So it forms a cone. So it is called as cup and cone fracture, because this portion is cone and the upper one is a cup. So that is why this fracture is called as cup and cone fracture. This is cup and this is cone. Okay. So crack propagates at 45 degree, right? I have told you. So this is very important from examination viewpoint. These differences are also very important from examination viewpoint, and this graph of ductile versus brittle and impact strength, all these articles are very important from examination viewpoint. Next, we talk about Griffith theory. It is again very important from examination viewpoint. Normally, conditions for a brittle fracture are that the normal behavior for a brittle fracture and conditions would be: brittle fracture occurs when a small crack in material grows. There is a very small crack and it starts growing. Growth continues until fracture takes place, right? It doesn't stop. And when this crack takes place, because of this crack propagation and the growth of crack, the brittle fracture experiences rate of crack propagation with minimum absorption of energy. Yes, brittle fracture has a minimum absorption of energy. That is why it is very easy for crack to propagate. Adjacent part of metal are separated by stresses normal to the fracture surface. Means, let us have a look. This is a adjacent portion to the which is normal. This is fracture surface on the lower side, and this is the adjacent. We have a adjacent parts of the metal, one side and other side, and we are considering normal to the surface. I done normal over here. So these adjacent parts are separated by stresses normal to the surface. So they are separated from each other. It occurs along characteristic crystallographic planes called as cleavage planes, and the fracture is termed as cleavage fracture. Yes. So there is a cleavage fracture, that is why I called it. Brittle fracture doesn't produce plastic deformation, so it requires less energy as compared to a ductile fracture. Yes, energy required is less. Okay, that is why it propagates so fast, because energy requirement is very less as compared to a ductile fracture. Now what Griffith told us finally. Griffith states that when elastic energy released by extending a crack is equal to surface energy required for crack extension, then the crack grows. Means the energy released due to crack is equal to surface energy required for crack extension. When they are equal, the crack will automatically grow. You can't stop it. This behavior is called as this is basically increase in surface energy. This increase in surface energy is required to overcome the cohesive forces of atoms. Yes, atoms, they have a cohesive forces amongst themselves. Energy is required to overcome that cohesive forces. Now mathematically, how do we analyze this situation? We have like two sides. There is decrease in elastic strain energy, and it is equal to energy required to form a new crack. Decrease in elastic strain energy is expressed as U is equal to minus pi square c square sigma square by E, and this is elastic energy per unit thickness of plate, where like this is the length of the plate. I have taken it to be 2c, right, and c is the half length of the crack, E is Young's modulus, and sigma is tensile stress. And what is US? What is US? Energy required to form a new crack. It is 4c gamma, where gamma is surface energy per unit area, and 2c makes two surfaces as 4c. So total is this energy, this is the energy required, and that was energy released. So decrease of energy plus increase of energy. Decrease is taken as negative. This I have taken negative, and the other part I have taken positive, and total, this is the total change in energy. Critical fracture stress is found now by differentiating delta U with respect to C and putting it equal to 0. I differentiate this expression, put it equal to 0, and I get the value of sigma f as under root 2 gamma E by pi C, where is called as critical fracture stress. Sigma f is critical fracture stress value, means at this stress value the material will automatically start failing. You will not be able to stop it. Okay, hope this is clear to you. All these articles are very important. This length was 2c. I applied forces on opposite directions. We were talking about Griffith theory. Okay, and question on Griffith theory is very important. You must go through it.